if this will work. My account is supposed to be restricted. It gave me like a few moments earlier to get on, and then it was just like trying to reconnect with my perfect Wi-Fi. So anyway, it's wonderful to have you all. If you can see me, hear me, let me know. It's Wednesday the 26th of October 2022, and I'm broadcasting live from beautiful sunny California. I'm just waiting for people to tune in. I've been having all kinds of troubles with my accounts. Go to figure. It's to be expected. I don't even know. I've been so shadow banned, and that's when you know that you are above the target. So it's a great compliment. That's how I look at it. The truth will prevail. The light will shine through all the darkness, all through, the wrongdoing, the trespasses, and everything that's going on. So I see people on. It's great to have you all. I am sending much love. You all make this possible, like your comments, your notes, your emails, and just we are doing this, and there is no stopping. That's the beautiful thing. The great awakening is happening. People are waking up. They just realize that we had enough. So the COVID and all that stuff, that BS, was actually a great thing. It was blessing in disguise. It woke up so many people. It showed them really what we are dealing with, which has been here for a very long time. And so today I'm welcoming you all. This is Lenka, and today we will be talking about how do we get ourselves into this mess, right? So no, I do not consent. I do not wish to contract with you. So today I'm going to talk about something very important. How do we actually get ourselves in all this trouble, and that it gives these public servants the idea that they can actually violate our rights and trespass upon us. So for the longest time, and welcoming you all guys, great to have you. We've been talking about, this is really a mindset shift, right? Like for the longest time, we thought that we actually have government, that we actually have public servants. But what we've been learning, and hopefully you've been watching my videos, no, that's been taken away. We the people, gave it up. Way back when we allowed Abraham Lincoln to take the office as bar attorney, and by the Act of 1871, that's when Congress, it's the Act of 1871, when Congress sold us out. So the de jure Congress walked out, and we became corporation. When I say we, the government became a corporation, and it all came from the concept that the government needed to hire some companies to provide services. And so the way how to look at it is these companies are basically to provide us services, but services that we give consent to, that we agree with, not that they trespass on us, that they extort us, and they force us into involuntary servitude at a point of gun, that they are basically selling us their services at a point of gun. So today I'm going to talk about the importance of really comprehending what's going on, and how we actually agree by our ignorance, by really not knowing that we are agreeing to enter into a contract, into agreement with these corporations. So every so-called agencies or entities, you think that they are your government. They are not. They are a corporation. Well, it goes kind of deeper, they pretend to be corporation. They are actively listed, most of them, and actually all of them are listed on Duns and Bradstreet. We've talked about that. And they have EIN number. But if you start digging deep, they actually do not have the corporate charters, but that's for another discussion. So what's really going on? So you have these agencies out there. They pretend, they are masquerading as your government, but they are in reality a corporation. So it can be the county of Riverside, it can be the county of San Diego, it can be the county of Yuba, or wherever you are. Even your state of California is a corporation, state of Nevada is a corporation, state of New Jersey is a corporation. And all these corporations, the only way how they can interact with you is through your agreement, that you are entering into a contract with them. So when you are peacefully traveling on the road in your private automobile, you are basically taking your private property from point A to point B, and then someone in a costume with badge and gun suddenly stops you and is asking you for your papers. Well, when you consent to contract with them, this is where you are agreeing to contract with them. But there is this catch. We need to also comprehend the 8 fundamental elements of contract. So in order for contract to be valid, it needs to meet these 8 elements. And that's what we will be going through tonight. So, what are the 8 elements of a contract? So first of all, parties have to be competent to contract. So the parties to a contract should be competent, meaning that they need to be of age of consent, of sound mind, not disqualified from contracting by any law to which she or he is subject. A flaw in capacity may be due to minority, lunacy, idiocy, drunkenness, or dissimilarity of kind. The parties should be of the same kind, being either legal fiction actors or natural living men and women, allowing more than 2 parties, but never a mixture of these kind in their respective jurisdiction. So, what does it mean? That we have to be competent to contract. Okay? So, the parties have to be of the same mind, of the same kind. So, a corporation cannot contract with a living man or woman. The way how they get you is they are misclassifying you as a person, as a citizen, as a resident, as a taxpayer, which is the legalese. It's a fiction. It's a fiction. So it can never be a mixture. So a corporation can contract with a corporation. A living man can contract with a living man. So, and they have to be competent. The second point and element of a contract is free and genuine consent. So the consent of the parties to the agreement must be free and genuine. The consent of the parties should not be obtained by mispresentation, fraud, undue influence, coercion, or mistake. If the consent is obtained by any of these means, then the contract is not valid or legally, lawfully enforceable. So let's repeat that the consent of the parties must be in agreement of and free, right? And it cannot be obtained by mispresentation or misclassification of you, that you, the living people, meaning you, living men and women, cannot be mispresented, misclassified as person, resident, or citizen by fraud, that they cannot be pulling some kind of fraud, coercion, or by mistake in order for contract to be valid. Third element is there has to be full disclosure. So when negotiating a contract, full disclosure is the step of providing all material information or telling the whole truth about any matter which may influence the decision making of the other party or parties before they decide to enter into a contract. If either party fails to make full disclosure, the contract is null and void. So they have to tell you what they are doing. There has to be substance exchange for another substance for the contract to be valid. And that's actually going to the valuable consideration, which is the fourth point. The consideration is something of value possessed by the parties that is brought to the contract table. This something of value is bargained for and given in exchange for a promise of a performance. So, for example, I promise to paint your house and you promise to pay me in real money. The parties must each receive a benefit and each suffer a detriment. So meaning if I paint your house, you got to pay me money. I cannot just not paint your house and get your money and vice versa. And to be enforceable, a contract must have valuable consideration. A contract is unenforceable if it has insufficient or unequal consideration without agreement. There has to be the fifth point element is certainty of terms. The terms and conditions of the contract must be fully disclosed and agreed upon and must be certain and fixed, and a subsequent variation of terms must be agreed. So the agreement is that, yeah, I am coming to paint your house, let's say tomorrow, not in a year, not in 10 years, not maybe, or when I have time, and we have certain terms that are set for the consideration, for the exchange of the substance for substance. Sixth element is, this is very, very important in a contract, for a contract to be enforceable and to be valid, is a meeting of the minds. A meeting of the minds, consensus ad idem, occurs between the parties when they recognize each other, understand their mutual obligations, and agree. A meeting of the minds occurs between living men or women in lawful matters, common law jurisdiction, and between legal fiction actors in legal matters when it's in unminority maritime jurisdiction. A contract must be either lawful or legal. If one party to a contract makes a signature as an accommodation party to a legal fiction person, while the other party makes an autograph for a living man or woman, the parties are of unequal kinds, and the contract is null and void. So this is very important. We have to have meeting of the minds in the right jurisdiction. So, if we are operating as a corporation, then we are dealing in commerce, but when we are operating as men and women, now we are under the common law jurisdiction. The seventh element is autographs or signatures. Lawful written contracts between living men or women must carry the wet ink autographs of the parties, comprising living identification such as thumbprint, but more often living standing is recognized by an ambiguous declaration with a handwritten wet ink autograph including the prefix by or a and or other words such as all rights reserved and without prejudice written below. Legal written contracts between legal fiction actors must carry the wet ink signature of the parties as an accommodation from a man or women. So here what I will point out is when you get these smart, tricky letters from your public servants, where they are hiding behind the legal team or the office of the customer, all kinds of funny, creative creatures I've met across, and usually, they don't sign it, right? Because they don't want to put their personal liability on the line, and this is where you are pitching them. So you need to always request that. And the eighth element of the contract to be valid is the privity of contract. A contract exists only between the parties. No third party can obtain rights contained within a contract or buy or sell a contract without the express permission of the original parties. So here you have it, my dear friends. This is how we ensure that the presumed contracts under all these assumptions, mispresentation, and through the constructive fraud, because they are operating as literally criminal enterprise, you make sure that, oh, sorry, this is null and void. That contract doesn't meet the 8 elements of contract. This is commerce. This is how we do business. If it's one or the other jurisdiction, so you need to be very aware when you are actually giving your consent, or when you say nope, nope, I do not wish to contract with you, officer. Can I see your driver's license and your insurance? Is that an order, officer? Because if it's not an order, these people are not even supposed to talk to you. They are your public servants. But we know that we are really, they are revenue collection agents. So they are trying to entice you into literally involuntary servitude while you are peacefully traveling, minding your own business. Remember that these people out there, they are your public servants. So if they want to be your public servants, they took an oath of office. So now that's a contract that they will uphold and defend your constitutionally secured rights. You have to remember, your rights do not come from the Constitution. You are not a party to the Constitution. Your rights come from your Creator. The Constitution is for them. The Constitution is for your public servants. That's their contract with you, that they will uphold your constitutionally unalienable God-given rights. And so when they trespass on those rights, you need to hold them accountable. You need to hold them responsible. So everything that's happening is because we haven't been doing that. We haven't been doing our job. So if someone who is pretending to be a public servant, and out of nowhere, where there was no injury, and there's no injured party, so there is no crime, and they start enticing you into this involuntary servitude by asking you for your papers. Well, how different is it really from Nazi Germany, when the Nazis would stop you and be asking you for your papers? There's no difference. So you need to educate them. Well, officer, is that an order? Because if it's an order, I have a fee schedule. And if you want to contract with me, if you wish to violate my constitutionally secured rights, I have a fee schedule. So you can sign this contract right here. It tells you when you violate your oath of office, it's $50,000. When you do not uphold my God-given rights, that's another $50,000. If you are engaging in constructive fraud, that's I believe on my schedule it's $1 million. It's pretty pricey. It's pretty pricey for anyone to trespass on our God-given unalienable rights, because, and I tell you why it's pricey. Because your time is the most valuable currency. Your sweat equity is pretty much the currency, because we don't have money. So if any of these pretenders, public pretenders, because that's what they are, they think that they became these public rulers, are trespassing on you, are violating your rights, well, now they need to pay up, especially when you inform them that you know your rights. You do not wish to enter into a contract because you do know the elements of contract, what constitutes a contract, right? And you don't wish to contract. But if they really pursue that, well, then, there is cost to that. It's really a mindset shift. It's a mindset shift of what really, it's kind of like the whole world is upside down. Everything what we thought is really not, and now we are unlearning everything and relearning everything. And the most important thing that we need to learn is the hierarchy. Where do we stand in the hierarchy? So as we said, there is your Creator, and you can only control what you've created. So unless these public servants created you well then yeah, they have jurisdiction for you. But if they did not, then you only answer to your creator. So you go by God's laws. And these are set. This is why it's called common law, because it's common sense. It's the laws of nature. Nature's God that created it all. So we have to adhere and obey those laws. And then we have the man, the living man, and the living woman. And then we have the Constitution, which is between us and the government we've created. That's why the Constitution was created, but not the corporate charter Constitution. Here in California, for example, the 1879 Constitution that's been repealed on November 8, 1960, and is a matter of public record. No, I'm referring to the organic 1849 Constitution. And that was created for the people, by the people. And so we have the Constitution, and then we have the government, and then we have the corporations, and then unfortunately we have the U.S. citizens that are the subjects and creation of that corporation, of that corporation that's been done through the fraud of the Act of 1871. That's when they created this the subject, the property of the state through the 14th Amendment. But remember, we also have the 13th Amendment, which clearly tells us that involuntary servitude is prohibited. Now, but that's a catch too, because it doesn't say anything about voluntary servitude. So if you voluntarily comply and you volunteer into your own enslavement, well, that's on you. That's on you. So I saw this very interesting actually note, which said that the 13th Amendment was actually kind of the gateway into this voluntary servitude that we've literally entered. And this is why it's so critical, because once you realize that, you know, all the assumed and adhesion contracts and agreements these corporate servants and agencies think that they have with us, once you go and you ask for these 8 elements of contract to be lawful and to be legal, you will in most cases find out that it doesn't meet that requirement, right? Just the fact, the meeting of the minds, the fact of full disclosure. If I come to you and I pretend to be some kind of authority, and I tell you, okay, Mr. Smith, I'm going to extort you for some money because I think that I was given this right by God, that I can now come and I can charge you for the oxygen you breathe. This is pretty much what they are doing to us for taxing us for the land we think we own. I'm going to charge you for the oxygen that you breathe, because I think that I actually own this air, and you will have to pay me $100 for every breath you take, right? And that will be full disclosure. That I'm telling you what I'm going to do, and you would have to agree to that. So you go through all these contracts that they think that they have with you, and you will find out that they are null and void because they didn't meet these 8 elements of contract. So, my beautiful friends, once again, knowledge is power. So now go and exercise it. You all have a wonderful evening. I'm not even sure if this is coming through because it's been completely stagnant. So if it didn't come through, we'll just have to redo it. Sending much love.